All right, let's call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Welcome to the February 22nd, 2011 edition of the Amelia Village Council meeting. Let's first ask the fiscal officer for a roll call, please.
Derek? Here. Todd? Here. Renee?
Here.
Bob?
Here.
Tim?
Here.
Chuck? Here. Leroy?
Present. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, once again, welcome everyone here this evening, and welcome to those who may be viewing this meeting at home or on via the Amelia Village website. I'd encourage anyone in the audience tonight or in the audience at home to get connected with Village Council and Village Government. We need your opinion and we'd like to hear from you in any capacity possible. First item on the agenda this evening is the approval of the previous meeting minutes. I always stumble on that. So before you tonight, let the record show that council has received their packets in advance. So this time I entertain a motion regarding the minutes from the February 7, 2011 meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Derek?
Abstain.
Todd? Yay. Renee?
Yay.
Bob?
Yay.
Tim?
Yay.
Chuck?
Yay.
All right, minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda this evening is the mayor's report. First thing I want to say before I move into this mayor's report is just prior to this meeting being called to order, we had some an outburst here in council chambers. I wanted to be on the record that we won't tolerate that kind of outburst now that the meeting is in session. We're here to have adult discussion. Mayor's report presented Tuesday, February 22nd, 2011. Under the headings of meetings, I've been involved in several meetings and have had correspondence with many people on behalf of Amelia Village since the last meeting, including, but not limited to the following: Police Chief Super, representatives from Union Township Fire Department, Fiscal Officer Bill Gilpin, Village Solicitor Laura Abrams, Pat Madel from CBS Engineering, Vice Mayor Bob Pollitt, village staff, police personnel, as well as village residents. Much of the content of these meetings will be discussed in the committee reports this evening. Under the heading of zoning, and this is a re-echo of what I've been reporting for several months now. We continue to struggle to stay on top of zoning issues within the village. With the current staffing levels and workload, it is all we can do to keep up with responding to the resident complaints and questions. We're basically putting out fires, and there's no opportunity to engage in proactive enforcement. That being said, Julie, I'd like to ask you a question. How many calls would you say we receive a week regarding complaints from residents and zoning circumstances?
Complaints in general, zoning issues, probably 3 to 4 calls a week, average.
What is the demeanor of most of the people?
It's about half angry and half an inquiry. Sometimes all the angry ones hit in one day.
Does it seem to you as though that this is a service that the residents expect is something that's being handled by the village
Absolutely,
government?
especially when we enforce the code for one resident and they notice that it's not enforced for another resident simply because of our oversight. That creates anger.
What they don't know in that case is that the enforcement is happening by virtue of the complaint of another resident. It's because we can't do a proactive enforcement, and we don't tell people we've received a complaint, because then you have people fighting amongst themselves. So it sort of creates an ongoing, we're the bad guy dialogue. As you guys came out here and you cited me for parking in my grass, now my next door neighbor is not parked in compliance with the zone. How come nobody's done anything about it? Well, now that we know about it, we'll follow up on it. On down my report. Under committee ideas, at a previous meeting, there was discussion from council regarding two possible new committees, a Main Street Development Committee and a Main Street Restoration Committee. We're waiting for verbiage from council before she places it on the website, asking for input from residents and people who might be interested. I didn't know if anyone from council had an opportunity to prepare something like that, and if you haven't, if you could get that sent over to Julie so we can see what kind of level of interest there is.
Mayor, I think that was something I was going to do and see it here, so I'll get that taken care of.
That's good.
I did see something in the paper about it, so I didn't know if you still wanted something presented to Julie, so I will take care of that.
I think in the paper it referenced, check the website. It might
Okay.
have. So just when you get the chance to write something, that'd be great. On down the mayor's report, I have next important topic is resignation of Bill Gilpin. I'm disappointed to announce that on Thursday, 2/17/11, Fiscal Officer Bill Gilpin gave his official notice of resignation. And I have the notice of resignation on file. Bill has accepted a full-time position in a neighboring village. Bill was very flexible in coming up with an end date to his commitment here as fiscal officer. We've agreed on a 1-month notice, making his last day as village employee Friday, March 18, 2011. That being said, Bill has indicated that he will do everything he can to make the transition to the new fiscal officer as smooth as possible. He's also agreed to continue to work with us past the March 18th date on a contract basis as a visiting clerk, much like he had worked for us in the beginning. At tonight's meeting, at this time, I would like to ask council to accept Mr. Gilpin's resignation.
I make a motion we accept his resignation with a deep heart.
First,
I'll second.
discussion and or questions?
Bill, I'm sorry we couldn't work something out. I understand.
Roll call, please.
Derek.
Yay.
Todd.
Yay.
Renee.
Yay.
Bob.
Yay.
Tim.
Yay.
Chuck.
Yay.
With council's approval, I'd like to be prepared to place the ad in the Cincinnati Enquirer Career Builders section, which is the online edition, first thing Wednesday, February the 23rd, 2011. The ad will run for 30 days at a cost of $420 and can appear online as early as tomorrow afternoon. This time I entertain a motion to that effect from council.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Derek.
Yay.
Todd.
Yay.
Renee.
Yay.
Bob.
Yay.
Tim.
Yay.
Chuck.
Yay.
Okay, also, looks like I have some typos here in my report. Let's get down a couple lines. On your desk this evening is a copy of the ad that we ran the last time we ran an ad for this position. I'd like to revise this ad with the appropriate dates, etc., and get the ad placed first thing in the morning. We've already got a motion for that. Apologize. The next piece is the independent contractor agreement. This time I'd like to ask council for the authority to enter into this agreement with Bill Gilpin so that he can continue to assist us past the March 18th resignation date.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion or questions on that? Roll call, please.
Derek.
Yay.
Todd.
Yay.
Renee.
Yay.
Bob.
Yay.
Tim.
Yay.
Chuck.
Yay.
All right. Just on a personal note, I'd like to add that Bill has been a consummate professional. His attention to detail and the knowledge of his job will very sorely be missed. And I would just ask everyone to please join me in wishing him happiness and success in his future endeavors. Following through the mayor's report on the same topic. On February 10, 2011, I sent the following email to all council members. Good morning, council. I have an important announcement that I want to share with everyone. After the last council meeting, Fiscal Officer Bill Gilpin approached me and told me that he expects to be receiving a job offer from a surrounding village. The offer is full-time with benefits, retirement, etc. The salary he mentioned was $40,000 plus. As you all know, Bill's been working here with us since beginning in July 2009 and is a visiting clerk. And beginning 2/17/10, he accepted the position as fiscal officer at a salary of $25,000 annually. His position is considered part-time and was based on working 5 hours per day. Since that time, Bill has worked an average of 56 hours per pay period, which is roughly 6 hours unpaid overtime per pay period. When Bill gave me the news of his probable job offer, which was on Monday, February the 2nd, 2010, I asked him if he was happy here and if he would be open-minded to the idea of coming on staff here in a full-time capacity. Bill indicated that, in fact, he is very comfortable here and that he would be happy to keep an open mind, further indicating that he would need to do what is in the best interest of his family. On Tuesday, February 8th, I called Vice Mayor Bob Pollitt and Finance Committee Chair Tim Rosser and made a request that the Finance Committee be proactive about crunching the numbers to find a way to accommodate offering Bill a full-time position to stay on as fiscal officer. And what I was looking for was perhaps a rearrangement of appropriations, etc., or at least to take the opportunity to look at the numbers. I've long been on the record promoting the need for a zoning person, and I'll continue to do so. However, from a priority standpoint, in my opinion, it's much more important to keep Bill in this position. I have every confidence that there's enough work to keep him busy for 40 hours a week. Bill has done an amazing job getting us back on track, not only doing the work itself, but providing comprehensive analysis on several finance-related issues to help village council make solid decisions. I go on to say that I think we'd be taking a large step backwards if we lose Bill Gilpin. So, I would like to urge you as council member to be proactive and contact the Vice Mayor or Finance Committee Chairperson to lend your support to the idea of making Bill a full-time employee here at Amelia Village. My suggestion is to avoid discussing this issue with anyone besides one of the other of the above mentioned. We don't want these discussions to be considered round robin or be conducted in such a way that they constitute a quorum. If you have any questions as to what is appropriate with regard to discussion that occurs outside of council chambers in a public meeting, please contact Laura or myself. Again, this is just my suggestion and recommendation. The vote is yours. Thank you for your consideration. Now, fast forward to today, February 22nd, after receiving Bill's resignation. I'm very disappointed to learn that only one council member took the time to contact the Finance Committee chairperson and that no one contacted the Vice Mayor. While council members may not have agreed with the suggestions in the email that I sent, asking that council be proactive about crunching the numbers to find a way to accommodate offering Bill a full-time position to stay on as fiscal officer and or rearrange appropriations. The other part of that urge was that I would like to urge you as a council member to be proactive and contact the Vice Mayor or Finance Committee Chair to lend your support to the idea of making a full-time employee here at the village. Further, I'm of opinion that it's a matter of due diligence to express an opinion, crunch the numbers, engage in dialogue, say, I disagree, we can't afford it, it's a bad idea, the mayor is crazy, or just say something. I feel it will be very difficult to find a candidate of Mr. Gilpin's caliber, and I believe that it is the obligation of council members to make informed decisions, and at the very least engage in dialogue that will result in well thought out decisions. In this case, council as a unit did not. And I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to the residents of the village of Amelia for this council's lack of interest in providing the kind of representation the taxpayers in the village deserve, which I believe, at a minimum, should be made up of expressing an opinion after a dialogue or conducting research. To that same end, on November 15, 2010, I issued a survey to council members. My comments at the top of the page read, As the Finance Committee begins the tough task of making fiscal recommendations for the future, I think that having the answers to the following questions in hand would help in their decision-making process. Since we have a tough time getting community input, because Amelia Village Council members represent the community, I think it's fair that the answers be provided to the committee by council members anonymously if necessary. Since that November 15th request for information from council members, I have not received even one response from any council member. I've since been told there are a total of 3 responses, and that includes my response. Further, I don't think it's too much to ask council members to express an opinion. A similar survey was posted on our website for residents to be able to weigh in. We received 13 responses. I suppose that residents are too busy, and that's what I've learned over the past few years, is that residents are very busy, raising their families and making their way. However, council members were elected to represent the citizens, and it scares me to think that I have received more community input than council input. It seems as though there is a fear from council members to be on the record with their opinions. As the mayor, it would also be helpful tool to me to have some idea what council members' opinions are. That all being said, I've decided I will not pursue re-election in 2012. Between now and the end of my term, it is my intention to express my opinion on many issues that I believe drastically impact the residents of Amelia Village and the future of the village. The first of which is the Amelia Village annual budget is roughly $2.4 million. I would like to stress that this is just Leroy's opinion. Our annual budget is roughly $2.4 million. Any business in any town USA, be it a donut shop, a landscape company, a hair salon, any of those businesses that had an annual budget of $2.4 million would have at least one full-time manager to manage its business affairs. In my opinion, the fact that we are managed by part-time, well-intentioned, elected officials and responsible for providing safety services and other services to more than 3,000 taxpayers, I believe that this invites inefficiency and reduces the high bang for my buck that we all seek. And again, that is just my opinion. Finally, let me clarify. I'm not seeking conflict with council this evening. I'm not seeking conflict with council or residents. I'm only seeking dialogue. Our founding fathers envisioned a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And in the last year, after persistently seeking input, I can't seem to find the people or the people's representatives. That concludes my mayor's report this evening. Open the floor to any discussion. If anybody has anything they'd like to say.
Mayor, I think that part of your report is inaccurate. At least 3 council members expressed the things that you wanted in our finance committee sessions. Things that you wanted recommendations for.
Like?
Such as discussing police, all fiscal matters. So at least 3 we've discussed it.
Mm-hmm. That's your job.
That's
It
correct.
has been discussed here.
That's correct, but you noted that no council members.
I was speaking directly to the survey, and I still don't think that's too much to ask. To ask somebody their opinion and ask them to give.
We've discussed your survey at our meetings, the same thing topics.
What
If
kind
you
of
wanted something
conclusions
written,
Well, it said that. I mean,
Correct.
What was your conclusions?
we're still working on it.
Okay. So.
And I think that
No
we should have had
conclusions?
some kind of drop dead date to discuss Bill's situation. And I think there should have been an emergency meeting called for the fiscal committee.
Did you
So that
receive
we
the
could
email
have-
in time to contact the finance committee?
I did.
Chairperson?
I did.
No contact was
Is
made?
it the chairperson's responsibility to get a meeting
It's a
together?
finance-related issue.
Correct.
And there's no sense in having a meeting if the finance committee can't make a recommendation to move forward.
That's why we needed a meeting to discuss it.
To have me call an emergency
No,
finance
to
meeting?
finance committee meeting. So, you know, I was thinking we were going to discuss it here tonight, and then we already have a resignation.
Perhaps if we had had some input, we'd have known that. But I sent the notification the morning after I received his resignation. And that was on the 8th. And on the 17th, I had received only input from the fiscal officer and the vice mayor.
On my part, I take partial blame, but my email still doesn't work. So I didn't know about this till I picked my packet up. That's when I first learned. And I was a little disturbed I didn't at least get a phone call. Because normally, whenever we have something of a serious or something that's very huge to the village, my phone does ring. And I do get phone calls. But in this instance,
Yeah.
I was kind of...
But on my end, I turned around the day after I read the email. I contacted Bill. We spoke for about an hour just trying to, I couldn't sever my ties from my job at the time, so I had to do it by phone. We talked for about an hour trying to see where we can go, how we can do it, how we can throw numbers around, you know, just to see exactly what's possible we could do. So I made the second phone call. After that phone call ended, we just, 2 days later, I called back and we started working it again. But I did not have any additional input, and I can't make the phone calls because I've already talked to the vice mayor and one other council member. If I would turn around and make the phone calls, to any other council member, it'd been a round robin situation. So I was waiting for input to be able to move forward, and I didn't have any input.
Right. I didn't know about it, but
Yeah.
I would have put input.
Yeah.
So normally I will get a phone call from Julie or someone, hey, did you hear about,
Right.
maybe blah, blah. But, I was totally blindsided.
Or if we were, like I said, if the council put was sorely needed, why don't we have an emergency meeting? I mean, that's one way of getting council to respond.
Well, sending an
I
email.
thought the email would
I
have.
thought an email was a way to get people to respond. That's a way to communicate with people.
That is.
That is not a round robin. I just provided the information, asked for feedback. I can't help
Emails
it.
aren't always 100%.
Yeah, not everyone gets them on their phones.
Did you get it?
No, I still haven't got it.
Okay.
So.
You didn't
I'm
get
sure
it
it was
because
sent. I can't get into the website.
and that's something you need to be proactive about
Right.
working on. Okay? And Derek, you received yours, and you had your own opinion about how it should be. Chuck, you didn't receive the email.
Not in time to do anything about it. But like I said, I think I'm pretty sure that email hit my inbox on the 10th. I don't think it came on the 8th. I'm fairly
Okay,
certain
well-
of that. But I'd like to verify that.
All right, that's fine. If it hit on the 10th, and he resigned on the 17th, that's 7 days.
Yeah.
So that just tells me you didn't check your email for 7 days. And if that's how you choose to handle things, there's nothing I can do about that. All I'm doing is putting my opinion out there.
Yeah, and just we're throwing opinions out there. There's been I don't know how many weeks that I could check my email daily, hourly, get nothing up until 5 minutes before the council meeting. So yeah, I guess if I somehow my peon little me, who's not a chair of any committee of anything, missing my email somehow cost us Bill Gilpin, then sorry. That's all I can say.
Okay.
It's a big loss.
It is. It's a huge
It's a
loss.
huge loss.
And it's I'm disappointed that we couldn't have had somebody at the power call. If I had the power call emergency meeting, I would have done it. If I had heard back from people, let's have a meeting. Let's talk about it. Do we want to make an offer? Don't we want to make an offer? That's
Well,
the kind of stuff I would have done. And
that's what I was reaching out to do. And if Tim had called 3 council people, it's a round robin.
Yeah.
If he had called 3 council people, it's a round robin.
Yeah.
If he had called you and you called, and then you called him, it's a round
And that's
robin.
after
why that was the tool I had available to me.
Yeah, and after I saw that email, to be honest with you, to want to call somebody after I saw that we got to be careful, we don't do round robins, all this other stuff that makes me leery of responding because I don't want to get in trouble. I didn't come up here to go, get in trouble. I came up here to,
Yeah, right. But
try
the email,
and change things.
But the email suggests contact the fiscal officer or the finance committee chairperson, because that's who's going to conduct this research, or the vice mayor, who is the quote-unquote president of council.
Yeah,
We
I
could have called an emergency
meeting.
meeting and had us all
So
come here and meet
tomorrow,
in a
yeah,
public meeting.
yeah. I mean, that's really whoever. I don't know. I don't think it's individual council members that can do that. That's who
The
I'd be
idea
looking
was
It's a
put an
shame.
email out to the council members
It doesn't.
and have the council members to reply back to myself or Tim or the mayor what they thought, so we could have some information to have a meeting with. There's the three of us having a meeting. We have no idea what everybody else is thinking. By the time we'd have our meeting, and by the time we had an emergency meeting, too much time would go by anyway. So we wanted to know what everybody had in their own mind to think what it was to feed us, so we know what to work with. It was sort of like going to the store and buying tools.
Right, but we've called emergency meetings before, and
First.
somebody could just have called an emergency meeting. We came in a meet within 48 hours. We lay it out on the table, and there it is.
I mean, stuff like
And
this
it's all
doesn't.
over with.
This doesn't have to go to finance committee. We can have a meeting and we can say, "Hey, where's everybody at?" And once we all say yay or nay, boom, then you bounce to finance committee and find if there's a way to do it. And at least that way we have a good faith thing we can put forward to somebody. And I didn't want to stop myself there because there's trying to blame somebody for this. Is
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like just a big
we're just trying to,
miscommunication because really,
yeah, we're trying to blame somebody for something that's too late to fix.
just
And it's a shame.
as a governing body, this was a failed circumstance.
Yeah.
Regardless of whose fault it is.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm trying to say. And if you didn't open your email for 7 days, that you have accountability for that. If Todd's email is not working and hasn't taken the time to make sure it's gotten fixed, then he has accountability for it. It's there's no consequence except that we lose a good person.
Yeah. And if the mayor doesn't call an emergency meeting to get the input he needs, you share some of the blame too.
No, I mean you've been notified.
Well,
You've been notified, and if you choose not to read, which is a very basic thing, I think it's hogwash.
Miscommunication.
I think it's a very big miscommunication all the way around.
Well, part of it, we know that at least 2 out of 6 there was no communication. I mean, if you don't even check the email, I mean, I don't even know what else to say.
Pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you know what
I
around.
mean, I've had phone calls on other emergency meetings, and they just called me and said we got an emergency meeting. Period. That's not against any round robin or any kind of law to call someone and say we're going to have an emergency meeting.
yeah.
Period.
Like I said, if I had an employee that I had really wanted to keep, and I was waiting on to hear back from somebody, I would be doing everything in my power to get them in here and get them speaking on it. And that's all I can. If you want me to armchair quarterback, that's all I can armchair quarterback. But I'm still, honestly, I'm of the opinion that who we want to blame for this, it doesn't matter. It's in the past. We've lost him. I really think we need to put this behind us, move forward, and pick somebody else. I mean, I asked the man the all-important $20 million question when I came in. Hey, is there any way we can keep you? The answer is no. I think this blaming people it's honestly pointless. It's unproductive. It'll be dealt with at election time or not, or it doesn't matter. It's out there.
I don't mean for it to come across as pointing blame. Really, it's just stating it. Just having it out there. I don't have anything further.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is I was waiting for Ann, her phone calls. I know Bob was the same way. Bottom line, that's what we were waiting for. And just think it's a great loss.
It is a great loss.
It's a very bad move on council.
Well, that would be everybody here.
Please.
That's all of us. I mean, everyone here takes some of the blame.
Well, fortunately, regardless of what we did, he was going anyway. And you can't blame him. So, if anybody's fault, it's his fault. He's the one's
It's
leaving.
your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll throw him under the bus as we leave, right?
Mayor,
Yeah,
I'd
and
just
keep
like
us
to
in mind
add
if
for
you
the
ever
record
find
that
yourself looking again, right?
on the survey that I did turn mine into Tim, and I think that
Yeah,
was
Tim told me that.
yeah
Tim told me that.
the 1st of December. And I had also not only had contact with Tim, but I spoke with Bob, the vice mayor, on 2 separate occasions about keeping Bill and how we could go. You know, we whacked what brain the 2 of us have together. So
And that's, I indicated in here that one person contacted them, the finance committee chair.
Well, what we were really, the email would like to have had was either, yeah, let's try to save him, or no, let him go. It's just that simple. And somehow or other it got completely out of balance, so to speak. And regardless of what we could do, he was going anyway, so let's, as Chuck says, let's just move on.
Next item on the agenda is the police chief's report. Chief Zucker?
Good evening. The first category of my report is under notable events and occurrences. On January 20th, a snow emergency was placed in effect. The snow emergencies are used sparingly and acted upon with advice from a public works supervisor. No issues occurred related to this, and no residents' cars had to be towed. On January 21st, an alert resident on Bob White Court called to report suspicious activity around his parked car. As Officer Matt Braden arrived in the area, he observed 2 people flee on foot. Officer Braden chased both of them on foot, finding them hiding under a trailer on Sandpiper Court. Those subjects, which are juveniles, were found with a backpack of items taken from cars on Bob White Court. All property stolen was recovered, and charges were filed in Clermont County Juvenile Court. On February 1st, the resident was seriously injured during an assault inside of his residence. The suspect, who was an acquaintance of the victim's son, is currently incarcerated in the Clermont County Jail. The victim was hospitalized for 2 days while recovering from being struck several times with a large wrench. Investigation was handled, charges filed by Officer Merle. On February the 2nd, Amelia Police Department received a report of unwanted sexual contact at Shank Park. The suspect in this matter is an acquaintance of the person that reported this incident. Further investigation is pending by Officer Hubbard. As council is aware, the police department does what we can to enhance the safety of our senior residents by checking on them often as possible. In cooperation with the Clermont County General Health District, we distributed 13 small lot boxes to seniors to help secure medications. The police department has also applied for a Sam's Club Safer Community Grant as a source of funding for future senior needs. The topic of training: on January the 10th, myself and the command staff of the Union Township Fire Department attended a one-day seminar on ethics in the public sector. On February 18th, Linda attended the Mayor's Court Clerk training and meeting. Continuing on the topic of administrative, Sergeant Gamble remains on sick leave. Officer Matt Braden is being deployed to the Marines. We are currently struggling to maintain a balance between keeping one police officer on duty in the village and spending overtime salary. Just in the last 2 weeks, either the Clermont County Sheriff's Office and or the Pierce Township Police either handled or responded to the village to assist our only officer on duty, and that happened 5 times during the last 2 weeks. On February 3rd, I attended the Clermont County Police Chiefs meeting and our Mayor's Court. Finally, Union Township's been working with Verizon in regards to 911 cell phone calls from the village, so those calls will be sent to the Union Township Communication Center. Most cell phone 911 calls were not going to Union Township. The situation is much improved now, however, it's not 100%. That's due to the terrain of the village, boundaries, and what cell phone provider the caller may have. And that concludes my report.
Anybody have any questions for the chief?
do we know when Matt's being deployed? Do you have a date on that?
Mid-March. He has about 2 more weeks left of this year.
That's it.
One thing I want to add is last council meeting, I told the story about how I called dispatch for situation here in the village. And after the meeting that night, basically I talked about the fact that we had one officer handling what could have been a really, really dangerous situation. And that it really brought to the forefront for me that being short-staffed at that time was not a particularly good set of circumstances. After the meeting, I learned even further that while our officer was handling that call, there was a fight here in our parking lot that we couldn't respond to because we were tied up. And on that evening, while our officer was out of the village finalizing the business with the people that he was working with for 3 or 4 hours, we had no one on patrol. I just want to make sure, that's the reality of it. When you have one guy on duty, that sounds okay because you have one guy on duty and he's going to get backup, okay? It's still very thin, but he's going to, I think people feel a little better because, well, we've got mutual aid available to him. And on this particular occasion, he's out of the village completely for 3 to 4 hours processing someone. And during that time period that he's out of the village, taxpayers here in the village wouldn't enjoy the same less than 2-minute response time that the young man over in the Walgreens parking lot enjoyed. We would have had to wait whatever the response time would be from the sheriff's department and or Pierce, depending on where it happened. Just wanted to bring that out. Anything else to add to that, Chief?
No, thanks.
All right. Next report this evening is from the Union Township Fire Department with the Fire Department report.
Evening, Mayor, council members.
Yes, sir.
I have a short little statement here from the fire department. In January, we made 30 EMS runs, 6 fire runs for a total of 36 runs. We transported 17 people to the hospital. We had 11 non-transports. Our average response time for emergency and non-emergency runs for EMS was 5.6 minutes and fire was 5.3 minutes. Any questions?
I have a question.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
They ever got it straightened out, communication inside the school building?
No, sir. No, sir.
They're still working on it?
Yes, sir.
That was a moonshot or not.
Yes, sir. 1969, as a matter of fact.
Is that with both schools? The one?
It is, yes, sir. And there are some other buildings that we also have some problems with, and it's a struggle that we try and work around with some radio communications, but it's a problem. It's a problem throughout the country. We are continuing to work on that.
Just curious, I hadn't heard anything about it.
We've done some testing. We've looked at some equipment, and so far there's not a resolve. We are continuing to look at that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the public works report. By the way, thanks, Chief.
Good evening. In addition to the routine maintenance, the Public Works Department was involved in the following. Since January 17, 2011, there have been 3 additional snow events requiring an additional 70 tons of salt. This winter has been more active than most of the past years. There have been 13 snow events requiring the use of 260 tons of salt cinder mixture. At a cost of $47 a ton, totaling $12,220. This period of time covers from December 2010 through February 21st, 2011. Each snow event has cost the village an average of $940 to clear the streets. In comparison to last year's total, the following is from December 2009 to February 2010, there were a total of 12 snow ice events using 205 tons of salt cinder mixture at a cost of $9,635. An average of $803 per event. Although the price of salt has not risen greatly, the quantity used per event has increased due to the amount of snow and the timeline that the snow falls, which requires different variations. We are entering a pothole season and have already experienced several potholes. They have been patched and others will be repaired as they appear. We went out today and identified several more, which we'll be working on tomorrow. If any resident or anyone has seen one and would like to report them to the office at 753-4747, or my number is 718-9081, direct to the Public Works Department. We have had to remove 3 trees from the parks due to storm damage in the last month. Several others have been damaged due to the weather and natural deterioration. There's a lot of dead trees in Grove Park, mostly. We'll be removing those somewhere this summer. We'll schedule to have them removed. And they're also the older stumps and the stumps that we're creating by cutting these trees will be removed this summer. We'll take a grinder and grind them off so that they'll be level. A stormwater catch basin was damaged on 101 East Main Street. Top was broken to parts, and the mounting bolts were sheared off, casting several pieces into the resident's yard. This was probably done to snow removal, I would think, because of scrape marks along the curb, because it broke the curb and everything else, and threw that up into the yard. You can't really verify because they'll really seen it, but that's the appears to be out.
On Main Street, you say?
On Main Street. We put a new top on it, secured it with bolts and everything, but the concrete company will not be putting out concrete until another couple weeks, so we'll be pouring the concrete to finish up the job within the next couple weeks or so, as soon as the concrete becomes available. Renovation of the shop has begun, expanding the shop area by removing the interior wall so that we have more room to work in there and get things organized. It's a very small confined space, and we had the storage just on the other side of the wall, so we've been renovating that. Hope to have that done by the end of the month so that we can get on to the spring work that's coming. Once again, there is when it's time to consider hiring a seasonal help. As a 2-man crew, we cannot adequately complete daily tasks and mow the 11 areas in town while trying to accomplish scheduled repairs and maintenance of village properties. Mowing of the park, cemeteries, and additional village areas take considerable amount of time. Chuck Kilgore is on a seasonal part-time on-call contract, and I would like to have him resume mowing this summer as seasonal help. That will save us from having to post and bring somebody, and he's already on partial contract. And I'd also like to recall Dave Growhouse, be the other seasonal personnel, to fill that second position. On February 12, 2011, a motorist lost control of his vehicle, struck the concrete pillar at Speedway 51 West. The pillar was installed several years ago. If you remember, it had those posts across 125 banners, so the pillars were still in place. We had to go in and jackhammer those out and re-level the properties. We've also removed the one on the other side of the street so that we won't have any of that left. And also, once again, the concerns concerning drainage along Curling Drive. The street has only a trenched ditch line with no catch basins or drain pipes. Over the years, this ditch has filled in and no longer functions effectively. I have sent plans to possibly retrench parts of the ditch line as early as mid-March. I hope to remedy this before the spring, a lot of rain this spring. Additional information is obtained on, I made a little report added to your folders. This is in our right-of-way, so it is our responsibility to correct this problem. This is village right-of-way area. And it's just a matter of digging down, change the elevation so they will flow properly again. So I am going to schedule that as soon as we're out of the area having snow, because we will need to shivvy. We'll have to take the snow removal equipment off the truck in order to start this process. And that completes my report. Any questions?
Yeah, one question.
Mm-hmm.
The motorists who lost control, will they reimburse us for your?
I had asked Chief to look in on that, and he was going to find out for me. Because, we had to rent a jackhammer and things to redo that. And
You know what approximate cost that was?
It wasn't very high, it was under $200, right around $200 range. So it wasn't a large expense, but it was an expense to the public works. Okay.
Rick, I know you're really busy. Do you have any kind of deadline on when we're going to get our banners down?
I had hoped to take them down this month. I wanted to get through any of the snow season but we were going to take them down. Now, the question I was going to ask the mayor would be, do we take the brackets out also, or just the banners and leave the brackets in place for now?
I'm not sure how council feels about whether or not the banner should be put up again.
I would
Or the way they were
say-
received.
I would say take them down, take the brackets with it. We're hoping to, Derek's going to head a committee up with the Christmas decorations to incorporate them with the wreaths and hopefully, give it some more depth because
They look good on sign or on street light posts and stuff. They stand out pretty good on that, but on the telephone poles,
Yeah, it's good
they
swallow.
kinda get
disappear a
lost.
bit. So,
Okay.
so maybe we can pick out some street lights to hang them from
We
and
can
go from there.
proceed and take those out
Yes.
before the end of the
Okay.
Rick, before you go, I have a couple of things.
Yes.
On the Sperling Drive project, what is it estimated, how long you think it'll take you, this job, and,
If we do both sides of the road, which we probably should in order to balance out everything, I would say a minimum of 2 weeks to get it cleared out. Tool-wise, we have the excavator and things, so it won't be that much other than fuel and that kind of, and time, and hauling the dirt off.
as you always do, would you please be sure to provide a detailed list on costs?
Yes.
What that project's going to
Because
cost?
I feel we should probably re-sow the grass into that area for erosion purposes, although I see a lot of times they don't, but it is in front of people's residence. So there would be that cost of seeding and straw, so I'll add those to that.
If you had to take a ballpark guess, something that you wouldn't be held accountable to, what would you call the estimate on that work? That's really not fair because you don't know what you're
I would
going
have
to
to
run
figure out their wages and.
Oh, just that, but you don't even know what all you're going to run into.
Oh, right.
All we know is 2 weeks.
It is at least 2 weeks, yeah.
What about the culverts?
The culverts
Like
will.
some maybe collapse, some maybe,
The culverts is actually residents.
Okay, so you're coming up the
Cleaning on
ditch.
each side of it, clean the ditch.
yeah, you're gonna get up to the driveway with a
Up to the
culvert.
culvert pipe.
Then what?
Then it's the residents' responsibility. We'll try to clear them enough to make the flow, but we're not,
Yeah, but if
we
it's
can't,
if
we
it's
cannot fix the
deteriorated
driveway.
to the point where your ditch is not gonna do you any good regardless, is there some way to force those people?
That would be probably a zoning, I would think, or some sort of situation. I would have to look into it because off the top of the head, I don't know the legalities of it. But assuming that the culverts and the driveways are the residents, I would say it's probably a resident. We can only clear the ditches out.
Well, way back, many, many years ago, the idea was if the culvert had to be replaced or whatever, the property owner would pay the pipe and the village would put it in.
If that's the standard procedure, well.
That was.
That was, I don't know, what is it today?
I don't have a
Even,
clue.
is there written standard procedure on that?
But that's what we did, that's what,
Yeah. That would probably have to be brought before council, let them vote on if they wanted to go the expense of redoing that. Because then you take the liability of repairing that driveway as you tear it out. Because you want to level and re-gravel those driveways. And some of those are blacktop. So you'd be getting the cutting the blacktop and replacing the blacktop.
it was, to be fair, it could get a little complicated. But you should be starting to think about it as time goes. Because you dig a trench to there and a trench away, but it was plugged up, it didn't do anything.
But, yeah, we'll have to look into the standard procedures and look into the legalities of it. Because you can't work on private properties.
Laura, do you have any input on that?
It really depends where your right of way is. If it's in our right of way, we can look at it. We can also assess the property back for the cost, depending on what it is we're doing.
The right of way is 20 feet from center line, and that would be in the right of ways.
Yeah, we can work in the right of way.
Okay. So we can figure that in if you'd like. when I do
The poles are supposedly on right-of-way electric poles.
Right, and these are, before you get to the poles, they're clearly in the right of way, all those culverts are in our right of way. Because the ditch line falls before the poles.
It's in front of the poles, right?
With that knowledge, does council have input on the way they'd like to see that proceed?
Like, how do you mean?
You're looking at a pretty huge expense.
Heavy
Start
rail.
cutting into them driveways.
There's 35,
Pulling them
40
culvert
residents
pipes
in there.
out, putting culvert pipes back in, a huge expense.
And there are several damage, as you say, where people have drove over them. There's a couple of residents over there, the pipe's only about that thick, and that's because they went off the their own driveway and drove over it.
Well, and some are tile, some are steel, some are concrete.
Right, and there's no common in any of that. So you could make them all one type, but then you have to go to the expense of replacing every driveway and every common.
I know where we work, and as far as townships work, normally they do not go into the driveway of the culvert. They leave that at the homeowner's expense. We'll ditch it out, we'll go up to it, but then when it comes to the rest of that, we don't get involved.
Yeah, that's our responsibility at that point. The driveway and culvert, as you said, is residents, clearly their responsibility. So we can fix it, but if it doesn't flow, it's still not our problem because we have done
We
all under
repair
our
all
control to do.
Well, and if you have one that's causing a problem, like flooding of the road or something like that, you should notify the homeowner that they need to repair it. If they don't, then you can go in and repair it.
None of them are affecting our
Yes.
road because it's so much below our road level, but they are affecting other residents' yards. And one resident had, I imagine, somebody had piped their own yard. They put a whole pipe across the whole yard. And this is on the other side, over toward the creek side. That water is flowing through their yard fine, but it's backing up in the other yards below it. And that's where we have received a few calls.
Yeah, a little concrete took care of that.
Well, that's, I wasn't talking about that resident, but
Oh, we're talking about another one.
another one, yes. Further down the road.
Okay.
Rick, back on your report where you talked about the seasonal employees, I'm assuming we would need a motion from council to re-enter in that. Laura, that would call for a new motion and new ordinances.
Yeah, we need new ordinances.
Yeah,
If we want to do it, we'll just prepare it for the next meeting as ordinances.
okay.
But didn't you say you already had one on call? I mean,
We have a on-call basis contract with
Yeah.
Chuck. And
But that expires.
That's expired now?
That will expire.
That will expire, okay. That's going to expire.
oh,
So then we would reconstitute the same hiring ordinance as last year with new dates. With council's approval, I'll ask the solicitor to prepare that documentation. All right. Thanks, Laura. And thank you, Rick.
Anything else? No. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda this evening is the approval of the outstanding bills. The bills are from February 8 and February 18. This time I entertain a motion from council. Pardon me?
I don't have more.
I'll go ahead and make a motion, then we'll let Tim look at it.
I'll second. I got lost in
I
traffic.
didn't know I was going to.
Well, I
We
know
were gonna
wasn't
wait a
gonna look
minute.
over it, but-
We have a first and a second. Do we have any questions or comments?
You good?
Roll call, please.
Derek,
yay.
Todd,
Yay.
Renee,
Yay.
Bob,
Yay.
Tim,
Yay.
Chuck.
Yay.
Bills for February 8 through February 18 are approved. Next item on the agenda this evening is legislation. We have two pieces of legislation this evening. The first is the ordinance number O-2011-06, an ordinance declaring 0.435 acres of real property located at 40 Oak Street, Amelia, Ohio, to be surplus property. Let me start over again. An ordinance declaring 0.435 acres of real property located at 40 Oak Street, Amelia, Ohio, to be surplus property, and declaring an emergency. At this time, I entertain a motion to suspend the rules for 3 readings on 3 dates.
I'll second it.
We have a first and a second. Do we have any discussion and or questions? I would just clarify that this is the Morris House. Roll call, please.
Derek.
Yay.
Todd.
Yay.
Renee.
Yay.
Bob.
Yay.
Tim.
Yay.
Chuck.
Nay.
This time I entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number O-2011-06.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Derek.
Yay.
Todd.
Yay.
Renee.
Yay.
Bob.
Yay.
Tim.
Yay.
Chuck.
Nay.
Let the record show ordinance number O-2011-06 is adopted. Next piece of legislation is ordinance number O-2011-07. An ordinance authorizing advertisement for sale of 0.435 acres of surplus real property located at 40 Oak Street and declaring an emergency. This time I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules for 3 readings on 3 dates.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion and or questions? Roll call, please.
Derek.
Yay.
Todd.
Yay.
Renee.
Yay.
Bob.
Yay.
Tim.
Yay.
Chuck.
Nay.
Motion carries. This time I want to entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number O-2011-07.
I'll make a motion.
I got you. Which one did you pick?
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Do we have any discussion and or questions? We're adopting here, correct?
Yes.
Just move to a roll call, please.
Derek.
Yay.
Todd.
Yay.
Renee.
Yay.
Bob.
Yay.
Tim.
Yay.
Chuck.
Nay.
Ordinance number O-2011-07 is adopted. Next item on the agenda this evening is public input. At this time, I would open the floor to anyone here in the audience. If you'd like to address council with any questions or concerns you have, if you would just step forward, introduce yourself, and state your business.
My name is Michelle Ballside, 13 Ballside. As many of you know, I have come to many council meetings. I have sat on committees, currently sit on one. And I think that I know what the train guide was like before we had a fiscal officer. And I know how the train ride is with the fiscal officer. I see it. As a resident, I see it. And I think that as a resident, I want to tell Bill, thank you. Thank you for what you have done, how you've straightened things out, how you have put wording so that the plain people of this village can understand it. And I'd also like to apologize to you because someone's email doesn't work. Someone didn't open their email. Someone didn't care enough to send an email back. So I'm sorry that they didn't do that for you, because I think that you would have been worth it. I'd like to shake your hand.
Thank you.
Any other council input this evening?
I have some
I'm sorry.
there.
No, wait. I'm sorry, any other public input? I move the council input, and I think Derek has got his finger on the hot button.
I do. I did interview Brian Flick and Katie Krafka for the Recreation Commission. I didn't know if you wanted to interview them as well, or if you want me just to make a recommendation.
That's what I would be looking for. I haven't in the past interviewed the candidates. Typically, the council liaison would make a recommendation.
Yeah, I've had them on hold in case we wanted to have a meeting this week. I know one of the things that we have coming up would be the Easter egg hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it might conflict with the PTA's Easter egg hunt, but theirs is actually going to be on the 16th.
Okay.
So I would think ours would be on the 23rd. So, Michelle, while you're here, how long did it take to get the eggs in? Okay. So I was going to call, see if we could have some kind of special meeting for recreation.
Yeah.
But I think we'll just have it our regular.
Which is next
meeting.
Tuesday?
It's on a Monday, second
Oh, no,
Monday.
it's the second, yeah, okay. Second Monday, yeah.
So I think we'll just probably
We should
go
have
with our
enough time.
regular, because Michelle says it doesn't take long to get the eggs. So.
Yeah.
We should be okay, but
Okay.
I'd like to make the recommendation that we appoint Brian Flick and Katie Krafka to the Recreation Commission.
I'll second.
Discussion or question?
I'd like to make a motion.
Any question or discussion?
That was for Recreation Commission.
Commission, correct.
Todd, you seconded it.
Roll call, please.
Derek?
Yay.
Todd?
Yay.
Renee?
Yay.
Bob?
Okay?
Tim?
Yay.
Chuck?
Thank you.
And I think we'll just get back to our regular meeting schedule
That's good.
starting for March.
That's good. We'll prepare the oath of office. What is it?
I just wanted to mention, I put a flyer on everybody's desk about the Clean and Green coming up on April 16th, and I need a volunteer to man the grill. If anyone's interested in helping out with that, you can get in touch with me, please. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
When you going to select or require your volunteers for the Easter egg hunt?
We'll probably have that meeting. We'll see who's going to do what, and then put out the word from there.
Okay. Well, my wife and I did it help last year.
Okay.
And we'll do the same thing this year. Hopefully the wind's not blowing 40 miles an hour.
And I'm there this time.
Yeah. That helps.
All right. Any other council input?
Yes, I have a little thing here. You all saw it, I'm sure. But I'll read it out in case anybody didn't. Items to be studied by the council. Police, we need to hire 2 full-time and 3 part-time persons to man the police department. You heard the mayor talk about the poor fellow there by himself with 2 full-grown gorillas trying to handle it without any. He just jumped right in there, which is maybe smart or not smart, but that's beside the point. But we only have 2 full-time patrolmen on staff, period, and 3 part-time patrolmen on staff. And you can't run a town with 3,000 residents in it, as spread out as this is, and the way that the streets are designed, on the basis that you're going to call Pierce Township or the sheriff or Union Township or Batavia or whatever. Second, the zoning, consider a part-time person, possibly may have another job, or possibly may be a zoning inspector for another village, which would wind up making it, we can split the cost of the operation. Public Works, we need at least 1 full-time person added to that. 2 people the size of the village is today, with all the upkeep, the signs, the grass, the ditches, scrap picking up off the roads. 2 people can't do it. Surplus, to continue our effort to build a 90-day surplus as recommended by the state of the auditors, and we are slowly but surely chipping away at that. Solicitor, reduce the cost to at least 2/3 or an hourly rate. A financial officer, consider a dual position or both part-time. Answer to the above, earnings tax. And I got that in great big letters. And at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we initiate an earnings tax. We can't do all this above with what we are right now. It's not going to get any better. The price is going to go up. And we have a beautiful school that people want to move into the area for their little rugrats. And they'd like to have a beautiful police department to back it up. And our police department just is not doing it. And the only thing that seems to change in this council, as I told Julie, is the name of the day. So I'm throwing it out there. Let's get it on the road. If somebody wants to start a fight about it, more power to them. I think the people, once we get a letter out explaining why we have to have an earnings tax, I think the majority of people are smart enough that they'll back it, and the other ones that's too bad. We're losing a lot of money in the school. We're losing a lot of money in that county complex in the middle of Amelia, and that's my opinion, and that's what I do. That's why I made the motion. I'd like for somebody to second it and get it on the road.
We have a second.
What percentage?
1%.
Well, I know,
We can do a 1% without a vote.
I know where I live, Bob, and I know there's a misconception that some of us don't care, but obviously a lot of us here do care. The people that work around me, they can't, right now, they're pinched for money.
So is everybody.
Everybody is. So to have government step in, to me, it's looking like, here we are, we're government, we're actually doing good. We're actually holding our own.
No, our
To
police
come in here to ask taxpayers for more money today, I just
Our
thought
police department's deteriorating.
I don't
They
think
haven't
it's deteriorating. I mean,
They haven't had.
we don't want to get into some issues on that, but
They haven't had a raise in 3 years. Have you had a raise in 3 years?
no, I have not, and most of my neighbors have not, and not looking for a raise for another 2 years. So that's how I feel about it right now. I think Bill's brought us a long way, and I still think we've got some things to do. And as far as the police department, we still have other issues to deal with. And then once all that's done, then
Well, what are they? Bring them up.
I can't really bring them up right now.
Well,
I mean, we went in executive session over one of them, and I don't want to bring it up because, ask Laura, we really can't talk about that, can we? So there you are.
can't talk about what?
Topic of the executive session.
We don't need executives. What we need an executive session for?
From a previous executive.
The
session.
previous.
Well, we don't want to get into that.
Right.
Right.
But what I,
That's the feeling I have, and I know the residents that live around me feel that way right now. So that's,
there's a
there
motion
again,
on the
that's my
floor.
opinion.
Anybody got guts to second it?
Hey, Bob, right now, until I can't second that, I understand where you're going, but right now I can't second that until we get further into the finances. I want to support you, but I can't yet.
Along those same lines, I will or would second it if we put it out there that in the next year, we'd like to do away with one of the levies. You see where I'm going?
I'll just retract my.
No, don't. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll retract it anyway.
I just-
You know what? You want to retract it, or you want to leave it out there?
Well, I'm going to leave it out there as it is. I'm not going to change it.
You know what? I'll second it.
All right, that makes two of us.
I don't agree with it. Don't count on my vote when it comes time to vote for
I'm
it.
sure you
But
don't.
this is a vote I think this council's needed for a long time. And I want to commend you on the stones you're bringing up. I know there's a lot of people who've wanted this for a long time, and a lot of us who haven't wanted this for a long time. And this has been a monkey we need to get off our back. So if you're going to put it out there, I'll second it for you.
Okay.
And we can get this monkey off our back.
So we have a first and a second. We have a discussion. I have some input. My input is that, not that I'm for or against at this point, I really honestly don't think we're at a place and time to say that we've exhausted all efforts of research and that we're really, really prepared to move forward in this fashion. That's just my opinion. It's council's vote. Any other discussion? Any other discussion before we move to a roll call?
Are we doing this we're trying to do this as an emergency, or are we going to have 3 readings on this? Or how does that?
You have to have it as an ordinance.
Yeah, so we'd have to have 3 readings. So would we take a vote tonight on it, or we'd have to have 3 readings?
Just to prepare an
I
ordinance.
think you're just voting to
Prepare an ordinance.
start moving forward.
Any other comments before we move to a vote? Roll call, please.
Derek.
Nay.
Todd.
Nay.
Renee.
Yes.
Bob.
Yay.
Tim.
Nay.
Chuck.
No. Nay.
Motion dies.
I can't. I did my best for you, man. I can't
Yeah,
vote.
You're supposed to vote for it. I mean,
I can't.
that's all right.
You know, I
It's all
tried,
right.
man. I tried. I tried my best for you. I gotta commend you, though. I can't give you enough praise for, if it's something council wants to do, it needs to come out and get done. And you know how opposed I am to it. I tried my best for you, Bob.
I
Mr. Pollitt.
appreciate it.
Okay. Bob, I see where you're going. Here's the next question. We just voted down even the thoughts of the earnings tax for now. If I got any additional ideas to generate monies? Because we will not do well in the future.
No. In the meantime, the police department's going down there too.
If we get a reduction from the state of Ohio, what was assumed possible, maybe 20% of the 107 or so?
I think right now we're on schedule to receive $118,000 in local government fund. If they did across the board cuts, it would be 20%. They say they're not going to do that,
$30,000.
but it would be in the neighborhood of $30,000 if
Yeah.
that were the case.
Out of the general fund.
This is a conversation I had with the man when I called him and spoke to him for an hour. That's why we couldn't get past, I couldn't get past any additional conversation, because I can't sit there, we just don't need $15,000 to keep Bill. We need another 10 for a zoning officer. So I was researching, trying to find $25,000.
I think we need more than that.
Exactly. And possibly losing 30. I mean, you can't. And I understand what you're saying, but we're not doing well. We're not. If you look at the numbers, and as we progress, each year we're getting worse and worse and worse, at least with the forecast right now. If nothing changes.
You're talking about revenues versus expenses.
Exactly.
We're doing better in terms of managing our money and managing our dollars. According to the 5-year, comparatively to the 5-year previous, we're doing a great deal better. We've accomplished a lot, identified some problems, most of which have been resolved, some of which are still in the process of being resolved. So you guys are both right. We're doing a lot better, but from an income, revenue to cost standpoint, it's not improving. Any other council input? With no further council input, we'll adjourn. Ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
8:15. All in favor?
I'll second that.
Me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next meeting, Monday, March 7th, 7 p.m. Thank you.